Here's Wilson for 1,000. Yes!
That was the moment A'ja Wilson became the first player in the history of the WNBA to score 1,000 points in a single season. A moment of pure, undeniable, historic dominance. And yet, for weeks, the only narrative the media wanted to talk about wasn't her greatness, but the number on her contract, $200,000. For a player who had just delivered a unanimous MVP season, that number felt like an insult, a sign of blatant disrespect. The story was simple and seductive. The league's best player was being massively undervalued, and her time with the Las Vegas Aces was shrouded in drama and instability. But what if that entire story was a lie? What if the contract wasn't a sign of disrespect, but a work of strategic genius? Many of you watching have been questioning the official story, and you were onto something. Because today, we're going to filter out the noise, connect the dots, and expose the truth. This wasn't a blunder, it was a master plan, a perfectly timed move designed to allow A'ja Wilson to dominate the entire 2025 offseason and change the financial landscape of the WNBA forever. We are a community of narrative analysts here, and we live for digging into the story behind the story. If you believe in getting the full picture, do me a favor and smash that like button. It tells us we're on the right track and fuels our next investigation. Now, to understand the genius of the plan, you first have to appreciate why the lie was so believable. Let's deconstruct the narrative of disrespect that took over the internet. The media's case was built on a simple, powerful foundation, contrast. On one side, you have A'ja Wilson's resume, which is simply undeniable. In 2024, she didn't just win her third MVP award, she did it by receiving all 67 first-place votes, becoming the first unanimous MVP in the league since 1997. Let that sink in. Not one voter thought anyone else was even close. She joined a minority Rushmore of WNBA legends, Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and Lauren Jackson, as one of the only players to ever win the award 3 times. And she capped it all off by setting records for points and rebounds in a season, and of course, hitting that 1,000-point milestone. And then there's the other side of the ledger, her salary. A guaranteed 2-year deal for just $200,000 per season. In a league with a team salary cap of over $1.5 million, the best player in the world was earning a fraction of it. This is the discrepancy that content creators and talking heads feasted on. They amplified the narrative by constantly comparing Wilson's modest WNBA salary to Caitlin Clark's groundbreaking 8-year $28 million endorsement deal with Nike. They pointed to roster moves, like teammate Kate Martin heading to the Golden State Valkyries, as evidence of instability and turmoil within the Aces locker room. Every piece of information was filtered through a single lens. A'ja Wilson is the victim of a system that refuses to recognize her true worth. And when you lay it all out like that, it's a compelling story. Be honest, when you first heard about this, did you buy into the narrative of disrespect? Let me know your initial reaction in the comments below. That right there is the story they wanted you to believe. A story of drama, jealousy, and injustice. It was the perfect fuel for clicks and outrage. But they left out the most important part of the story. They left out the plan. So, what is the master plan? It's a brilliant 2-layered strategy that the clickbait media either didn't understand or chose to ignore. The first layer is what we're calling the super team sacrifice. The narrative that this $200,000 salary was forced upon her is a complete fiction. The truth is, she chose it. According to an ESPN report on her 2023 contract extension, the deal was aligned with what she and other stars on the Aces have done, taking less than their value. This wasn't a punishment, it was a pact. In an era where super teams often crumble under the weight of massive egos and salary cap restrictions, the Aces' core players made a collective decision to prioritize winning over individual paychecks. They sacrificed millions to keep a championship dynasty together. That alone is a powerful story that flips the entire disrespect narrative on its head. But that's only half of the equation. This is where we connect the dots to the second why and most critical layer of the plan, the ticking clock. For our new narrative analysts here, the single most important event on the WNBA's horizon is the renegotiation of its collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. The current deal is on its last legs, and a new one is expected to dramatically reshape the league's finances, driven by a massive new media rights deal starting in 2026. Media analysis and player polls suggest this new CBA could drastically reframe salary structures, with future max contracts potentially exploding in value. Now here is the key piece of information they didn't want you to focus on. When does A'ja Wilson's disrespectful two-year contract end? After the 2025 season.
This was in 1997, and then she's now one of 4 players that have 3 MVPs under their belt: Cheryl Swoops, Lisa.
This is not a coincidence. This is a checkmate. A'ja Wilson didn't lock herself into a long-term, low-value deal. She signed a short-term bridge contract that allows her to become an unrestricted free agent at the exact moment the new money floods the league. She gets to spend 2 years dominating the court and winning titles with her super team, all while positioning herself to be the first and most sought-after superstar to sign a new contract under a completely rewritten financial reality. It is the ultimate chess move. She sacrificed short-term cash for long-term power and leverage. So what does dominating the 2025 offseason actually look like? It means that while other players are locked into old contracts, A'ja Wilson will walk into negotiations as the most decorated and dominant free agent in a brand new marketplace. She will be the first superstar to test the waters of the new media deal in CBA. She won't just be asking for a max contract, she'll be setting the new max. The conversation is no longer about her being undervalued at $200,000. The new conversation is about whether she will be the first player to command a salary of $500,000 or more per year, completely resetting the bar for what a WNBA superstar can earn. When you filter out the noise, the picture becomes crystal clear. The viral narrative of disrespect was a complete fabrication, built on a deliberate omission of context. A'ja Wilson was never a victim of an unfair system. She was its architect. She played the long game, demonstrating a level of strategic foresight that matches her generational talent on the court. Her contract wasn't an insult. It was a statement, a declaration that she values winning championships now and securing a history-making payday later. It was a masterclass in turning a sacrifice into the ultimate weapon. So what's your take on all this? We want to know your final verdict. Drop a comment below with either Masterplan, if you believe this was a work of strategic genius, or underpaid if you still think she should have taken more money up front, and if you believe, like we do, that the real story is always more complex. Make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell. We are constantly tracking these evolving narratives, and you'll be the first to know when we uncover the next big story. Finally, if you know another fan who's been caught up in the headlines, share this video with them. Every narrative analyst deserves the full story.